Welcome back everyone, it's Richie here again, and this is gonna be the very first video diary of our game. And if you haven't seen the previous video about our characters, you can do it here. You can pause and come back. Ready? Great. Our story starts in a small town of Starshore, which is in turn in the Empire of Kreos. And of course, the small sailor's respite tavern had just a few customers this morning, and among them were our players. The barman went to each of them, the Goliath, the half-elf, the gnome, and the tiefling, asked them to come to the bar, and when all of them arrived, he started to ask them questions. Where are you from? What can you do? What's your profession? And of course, can you handle yourself in a fight? There were some boasting, there were some of them who even hid their talents. Eventually, the barman relented and told them he has a job for them. If they can go to Winterhaven, find his contact, and after that, find Arknight, a dwarf, a leader of an expedition who went to an old dwarven ruin, but after a while there was no news from them. They were gone. The players were talking to each other like, yeah, we can do that, that's pretty good, it's alright. But eventually the barman told them, it's 500 gold in it for you. That straight away changed their mindset. 500 gold, we're in. At this moment, I told them something was amiss. You can hear something whistling and getting louder and louder and coming towards you. I saw the faces changes right away, like something is happening then. And this was the very first roll of the game. Dexterity saving throw. All of them succeeded. Thank goodness, because I put the DC at 5. If they fail, new character right away. But the barman did not succeed. He was dead right there as a massive boulder just crushed into the tavern and flattened everyone who was at the bar. Our characters, having no time to react after they got up from the floor, saw these 5 creatures come into the bar, laughing, screaming, shouting, and of course they didn't even need to roll for it. They're very common creatures, goblins. Just to remind you, if you haven't seen our goblins video, you can just watch it here, pause, and come back. Ready? Great. These 5 goblins come into the tavern screaming at them, and one of the most scariest thing left my mouth at that time. Roll for initiative. The first battle of the game, they were thrown in right away. There was a boasting from a lot of characters of what they can do, but even the monk who tried to scale the boulder failed an acrobatics check and just fell flat on his ass. It took the characters way longer than expected to deal with this situation and get out of the tavern. But even outside the tavern, they could hear these bells and alarms ringing continuously, people running from one side to another, and even more creatures as they're coming towards them, with some of the creatures even being much larger than the others. Beryl, our wizard, rolled a very good history check and found out that these larger creatures were bugbears. One of the bugbears leading a lot of small goblins. As this came in place, as I told you in my previous video, I think about them as an army. The bugbear is leading a small contingent of goblins. They even met with the characters, they started the fight, and it wasn't an easy fight, I can tell you that. With the bugbear's extra 5 feet reach, and also I gave the small goblins pack tactics, which straight away woke up the veteran players that this could be a deadly fight if they don't take care of it. It was a bit longer than expected here as well. They almost ran out of HP, we almost had our first KO, and they completely ran out of spell slots. Beryl, our wizard, always tried to hit the bugbear with firebolts, but consecutively she rolled 1s and 2s, and that was I think a 5, and never was able to hit the bugbear. They couldn't rest too much. The alarm bells were fading, but a crying woman was rushing towards them, crying, full tears, and she was yelling at them that she needs their help. Her father is trapped in one of the burning buildings, and these small creatures are ransacking the house, so she dare not go in. They looked at each other. They weren't at full health, and of course they ran out of spell slots. They couldn't do that much, but still, they went to the house. When arriving, finally, they saw the top part of the house was on fire, so they rushed in. Inside, they saw that there were multiple goblins and the goblin shaman at the back. And right behind them, they saw the mayor lying on the floor with a large beam that had been fallen from the top. And of course, it's pinning him down. Seeing that it's only a couple of goblins, they were ready for a fight. But before the initiative rolls went down, I just took out an hourglass. They were looking strangely at me because probably nobody used an hourglass before in the D&D game where they were playing. I just put it on the table. I told them as soon as the first initiative goes down, I will flip this over. And it doesn't matter whose turn it is, who's doing what, who's attacking who. If the last speck of sand goes down, the mayor is dead. The eyes went just wide completely. They didn't know that this was a 10-minute timer. And of course, the battle was over in less than 3 minutes. They were extremely fast. The Goliath even went in, and with a good strength check, he was able to lift one of these beams and get the mayor out very quickly. Dispatched the goblins and got out just before the house started to collapse on himself. With the mayor out, they could rest. And when I rest, I mean the Goliath had only 1 hit point, the monk was barely alive, Beryl, our wizard, had completely run out of spell slots, and of course Veda, the cleric, is not really specialized in healing. She's more of a debuff or buffing character. After this, the mayor went to them and thanked them that they helped a lot. They helped to save his life, his daughters, and even many more while defending this town. Veda finally handed over this parchment to the mayor, who after reading it got really upset, as whoever this parchment belonged to wanted to act in secrecy, so he hired these goblins to attack this town. And the seal on it was very peculiar, because he knows about it, but doesn't understand why it is here, as this seal belonged to the Jaspers, an old ruling house which ruled this empire, but in a coup was exterminated completely. This seal has a large bear on it, as it was the royal seal that they used. The mayor asked them to go and investigate who's ever in these caves to the north that the parchment mentions. He will give them 100 gold just to bring back proof and maybe even a captive who they can interrogate. At this point, the individual characters now became an adventuring party. They were already talking to each other in a manner of where should we go, how can we do this. It was great to see at that point. Still exhausted, low on HP, they rested a bit, decided that they're gonna go to this northern caverns, find out the culprit, and after that, go to Winterhaven and find this Arknight guy, because 500 gold is a lot of money and they really want it. So our heroes backed up and left for the northern caverns to find out what's waiting for them. And this is where we're going to pick up on the next game diary. And as you can see, starting in a tavern can be really fun. You can throw them in battle almost right away. You can even give them some quests, leave a couple of threads hanging, and they will automatically latch onto it. And this is what we're going to talk about in one of the next videos as the hook, line, and sinker. How can you apply this to your game? If you have a better way on starting a campaign, or maybe tips on how to kick off a story, just leave them down in the comments. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you can get notified of the new videos. And until then, keep on rolling.